Detroit Class 313 is the place we wanna be.
You wanna be
Detroit Class 313. That's what's up in the deep. Let's talk about it.
Welcome to Detroit Class 313. Thank you. For those in studio or tuning in at home on Comcast 20 and 33, we are your hosts. I am Elise Diamanti.
And I'm Dee Dee Morgan.
And I'm your host, True Johnson. And we are so glad to have Dr. Tina Parkman on the show today. Counselor, relationship expert, and she's here today to shed some insight on relationships, domestic violence, and just different issues that we face as women. Welcome, Dr. Tina.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to come, because we have to understand in life as women that we have to keep ourselves healthy.
Yes.
And as an expert in domestic violence as well as healthy relationships, it's important that we work on our package. And in doing that, that's a package that involves emotional, psychological, spiritual, physical, and mentally balance as women, because we take on a lot of things in our lives. And then when it comes to relationships, sometimes we tend to be short on it.
Yes.
So I'm here today to be able to give some practical and spiritual solutions to women's problems when it comes to relationships, so that we can get into our healthy relationship traits and not our sick love traits that causes us to have problems.
Right, and on Detroit Class, we will cover issues of all different types for women, but in your area of expertise is we're talking about the inner beauty. Am I correct?
Yes, this is called the immaterial person. And unfortunately, sometimes as women, we are unfulfilled. And unfulfillment creates an appetite. Whenever you're not filled, you tend to reach for love in all the wrong places. I always do a specific piece called trauma bonding, because some women tend to get the same type of man over and over again. You know, you have the girlfriend that gets the alcoholic sometime, or the guy that doesn't keep a job, or the one from prison. You know, you understand what I'm talking about?
What was that? In your book, Traumatized, you had dedicated a whole section to, what was that we talked about?
Oh, to women that were dying to love.
Or the different wives?
Oh, all of my wives.
Yes.
Well, women tend to play different parts, and they're good secret keepers. And because of the secret keeping that they keep, they tend to play a lot of parts when it comes to wives. So you have the wife of your youth, the wife of your lust, the wife of your drama, the plant wife, the wife of your teenage years, and men tend to play into that. The criminal wife, the wife of your enterprise.
Because we can be everyone.
You can be all one. That's exactly right.
And just elaborating on that a little more, what you were speaking on earlier about seeking after the wrong love. Why do you think it is that we as women continue to reach out to a relationship and a love that doesn't reach back in a positive way? Why are we always seeking love from our abuser?
Well, normally as an expert, I tell women all the time that you normally choose the person that's going to victimize you. So basically, when you're in a room, your attraction is basically from whatever you're unfulfilled. And due to early onset as a child, it may be dependency issues, nurturance issues, or maybe rejection or abandonment. Unfortunately, when women are looking for love in all the wrong places, maybe it's a father that wasn't in place or in the home but not available emotionally. So when a woman is emotionally starved, she needs fulfillment. So sometimes she looks for her daddy in every man that she sees. So it's important that we understand that we must be sealed. The deal is sealed when you do what? Work on your package. Start working on your psychological and emotional strengths and assess yourself. You have to know your value. And most of the time, those things are put in place when you're little, because your father is the one to give you your identity and your value.
Absolutely.
And the parents are the ones that cover you emotionally to secure you. So the worst thing that women have a problem with is wanting someone to love them that does not have the capacity to love them.
You believe that if you don't get the proper love as a child, because a father is supposed to love you unlustfully, correct?
Yes.
Not as a man love you lustfully. So if you never had that male figure to love you unlustfully, it's kind of like you said, we continue to look for love in every man.
The wrong attention.
The wrong attention.
And that's why you have the people that are the sick love traits, is the need to please, people that are addicted to approval because they never got the covering. So it's imperative that we understand, okay, I understand that that's a unfulfillment that I need to be able to identify and work on so that I won't draw these type of people that are looking for me. And normally, like I said, the same thing that normally comes after your mother is coming after you, and the same thing that's coming after you is coming after your child. We have to understand these are predispositions that are in our traits that we need to work on even as parents. So that's why I was telling you about 39 million people are exposed to domestic violence and abuse, and 3 women are killed a day because of domestic violence, because of unhealthy relationships. So we have to understand that not only are we putting ourselves at risk physically, but emotionally and mentally. So we want the women to choose healthy. Just like we go to the bank, you get withdrawals and withdrawals and withdrawals and no deposits. What happens? You go bankrupt. You need someone in your life, you need to choose healthy so that you can get someone that make deposits. And when they make deposit, they multiply you and they complement your greatness because you're priceless. So once you know your value, you won't choose the wrong way.
We are going to continue this conversation with Dr. Tina in just a moment. We have to cut to a quick break, but you are watching Detroit Class 313.
Detroit Class 313 is the place we want to be.
You wanna be
Detroit Class 313. That's what's up in the deep. Let's talk about it.
Welcome back to Detroit Class 313, and we're here with Dr. Tina Parkman. We were trying to get to solutions on relationships. I'm wondering, is part of the problem, a lot of us were raised by our grandmothers who were from down south, who taught us that we are to remain stoic and strong and we're supposed to stay in that relationship. I'm wondering, is that part of the problem?
Well, there's some generational cycle issues that's a concern. But the main objective is when women choose, their choices determine their destiny, and who they choose to love determines their destiny too. So it's important that even in generational cycles, things that were told to you, those things can actually come against you and also work for you depending on how consistent they are. I'll give you a good example. Always marry somebody that loves you. That's not healthy because actually if you marry somebody that loves you and you don't love him, he'll go through his whole relationship without getting secured emotionally. You'll have a check, but when Ford Motor Company closed down, he's gone too. So there's a issue there. So the thing is, you need someone that can complement you, and you have a love relationship that complement each other. So we have to understand that security is not what you marry. You don't marry the profession, you marry the person.
Right.
And that's what we were talking about earlier about the immaterial person. It's loving who you are. And then in order for you to love someone, you have to know who you are.
Absolutely.
And know your value and your worth.
Yes.
So in order for you to love someone, audience out there, you got to first love yourself and identify anything that's going on in your life so that you can be able to do what? Expose it and go get the proper help you need to walk yourself through the healing process. Because you should never reach while you're hurting. Because once you get whole, guess what happens? You'll say, is this the person I got with a year ago?
Now that we're moving away from the problem, and I really appreciate your approach to the solution because you are really getting involved and you're very hands-on. So let's talk about the future, and you're pinpointing these, future generations with the youth. Whether, not everyone has access to a licensed therapist or, for the viewers at home, when it comes to the younger generations, what are you teaching these children about the future, believing in themselves and finding a whole sense of being?
Well, for the young people, I believe in primary prevention by teaching them and educating them on what's healthy. I tell them to watch their eye gate, their ear gate, and their mouth gate. Watch what you're looking at, because that has a lot to do with your visual intake, with the media icons. Watch your ear gate, what you're listening to, because that is an open door to a lot of things on your self-worth. And your mouth gate, who's speaking words over you, which is a lot of verbal abuse. Because remember what I said earlier about the domestic violence being in the home, and most of the women that are in domestic violence relationships, most of the time, if they're beating on them, they're beating on their children. We want to be careful about the verbal and emotional and physical abuse that we expose our children to, so we need to educate them on what's healthy and what's not healthy.
Earlier you spoke about exposure being one way to heal, because obviously we're looking for solutions to some of our issues as women. So do you believe that exposure is the beginning to the healing process?
The first beginning is identifying it. And sometimes you may need to get someone to help, an expert or a therapist, or even an accountability partner, a girlfriend.
Right, someone that's just going to be honest.
That's going to be real with you and tell you the
identify
truth.
what's going on within, correct?
No, yes, but there's a difference between being healed and being whole. Everybody don't want to be whole, because wholeness takes accountability. That means I have to work on myself.
That's right, and not placing the blame on
Someone
your
else.
past. We've all been victims of something. We're focusing on our solutions and not our problems. We want to thank you so much for pinpointing a lot of the ways that you did earlier, like you pinpointed exposure.
And doing a self-assessment.
Yes, could you touch on that a little bit, the
Well,
self-assessment?
the self-assessment has to deal with all the things of your past. So you can't allow your past to dictate your future. Women need a word for their pain. They're so used to birthing out of pain that they don't know what normal is. So they have to change their normal from painful relationships to purpose. What happens in trauma bonding, they fulfill a legitimate need in an unhealthy way. And what we need to do is get our women healthy.
Yes.
And start eating right. So guess what? You got to change your diet.
Yeah.
That means you got to stop choosing the type of men that you're choosing.
Okay.
You got to start feeling good about yourself. You got to start working on your package emotionally and refining yourself educationally and getting the information you need to know whose you are and where you're going. Because the next person you choose, they're going to look better in your future.
Well, Doctor, are there any workshops on relationships in this area that are ongoing?
Well, there's Michigan Head Start that have workshops on healthy relationship. I'm one of the consultants there. I do one on It'll Work If You Work It. Healthy relationships when it comes to parenting and also blended families, and traumatized or restored man or woman, so that we can work on our packages as a whole and exit with Dr. Tina.
We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
We're going to go to a quick break. We appreciate you all for tuning in. Dr. Tina Parkman, wonderful host Elise, and host Dee Dee. We love you all for watching, and we'll be back. This is Detroit Class 313.
Detroit Class 313. That's what's up in the deep. Let's talk about it.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us on Detroit Class 313.
And we're back with Dr. Tina Parkman. She is the expert on relationships. I would like to ask one question. How do we get control of our lives and just let go?
Well, I always say this: rejection means direction. You need your mind. I'm going to tell you something. At the end of the day, you got to come to the point where you love yourself. Sometimes you got to kiss yourself in the mouth and get up and go on. It's a new season for the women. When people tend to want somebody to love them, the worst thing you can do in the world is want somebody to love you that don't love you or has the capacity to love you. Or to the other women, why you love something that keeps you in bondage? Bondage is Egypt, and if it took Egypt 40 years, how long is it going to take you? It's imperative as a woman that you come to yourself and encourage yourself and understand that there's some great things for you. God has some great things for you, and it's a new season for women. And we want to confront the thing that's coming against our new generation so that they don't make poor choices when it comes to healthy relationship. And that is being able to get a history on people. A historicity is what you need. You need to know their background. Also, you need to understand one thing when it comes to love. When a person loves you, it'll make them change their behavior. You got to put some expectations there and say, this is what it takes for you to be with me. I got some values, and I have some principles that I'm going to put in place. But if you love me enough, you'll move some things,
Right.
and you'll change some things. It's imperative that we as women understand our worth and our value. And just like right now, you women can look at each other and say right now, I'm priceless. Say it to yourself, I'm priceless.
I'm priceless.
I can't be bought.
I can't be bought. So on that note, you recommend letting go. You said that earlier, right?
Yes.
Letting go of things, because women, we know how to hold things in. We have that bad. So letting go, purpose, and just touching on that purpose, meaning when someone comes into your life, and I think we have this bad as women. Every man that comes in our life, for some reason, we want to try to make him our man.
You got to recognize the bud from the get.
Right.
Don't waste your
Right.
time. So
Well-
we're talking about purpose, letting go, and forgiveness.
And plus, you got to forgive yourself, because some of y'all done touched some stuff that you wasn't supposed to touch. And
Hello.
after you touch them, you can't get rid of them, and you're tied to them. So some people, y'all going to have to put down a list and start writing down names and release them.
Tell us about the book, Dr. Tina.
The book is called Traumatized, a Restored Man. It's about the ties that men tie themselves to when it comes to relationships. It's for the women, because actually the women are the ones that they're tied to. And when you're dealing with trauma bonding, it's the little girl in her that's hooked to the little boy in him that yokes together and makes a slave out of both of them. So if you have to understand, both of the parties need to get healthy. So who you choose to love determines your destiny.
And what's the name of the book?
Traumatized, a Restored
Traumatized.
Man.
That sounds like a very interesting book. Do you have a website?
My website is www.agapeconnections.org. AGAPECONNECTIONS.org.
One of the things I know we as women have to do, if I want to use the term, grow up in ourselves. A lot of times we haven't grown up,
Yeah, exactly.
and we don't want to grow up, but we need to grow up.
Okay.
Am I right, doctor?
Yes, and most of the time they're trying to change something that already is set in his ways. And when a man wants to change, it's going to take him to change. And you're going to have to release, and you're going to have to forgive. And forgiveness has a lot to do with that, too.
Yes, yes.
Sometimes he got to forgive himself. You got to forgive yourself for
Right,
choosing.
yes.
And both of y'all need to work on y'all package together if you want to make reunification.
Absolutely.
Now, doctor, are there any more websites for our audience?
Well, there's a lot of sites on trauma bonding. There's a lot of sites on healthy relationship. And also, you can tune in with a lot of radio shows that have information dissemination on domestic violence. Because a lot of people don't know that they're being abused because they're so used to that.
Before you go, give our ladies out there one
Warning signs?
warning sign. Yes, thank you so much.
Excessive texting that want to know where you're at all the time. That's one of them. Excessive texting.
Or
Okay,
just
the next one
excessiveness,
is
period, huh?
exactly
Exactly.
control.
Not letting you be
Not letting you
yourself.
be around your family.
Yes.
These are some of the things that you have to be careful of, women.
Okay.
So, when you see the warning sign, release them immediately, because guess what? What you get in for a minute may take you 15, 20, or 20 years to get out of it.
Absolutely. And Dr. Tina, I know we can speak with you directly on your radio show on Fridays, so just so we know, when is that?
Oh,
What
that's
time?
at 7 p.m. WDRJ 1440. It's a live call-in. You can stream online.
Yes, when the website for the...
www.agapeconnections.org.
Oh, that's where you can stream the show online, so they can tune in on Fridays and find that.
Or either Facebook.
All right, and so
Can't
you can
wait to
actually
get
call
that
in and talk to Dr. Tina and ask her your questions, whether you're afraid to, speak with someone face to face. This is, I'm assuming, confidential and it's anonymous.
Yes, it's confidential and it's anonymous. And remember, ladies out there, don't lose your man, because you need your man for the one that's coming.
Hello.
Thank you so much, doctor. Thank you.
Dr. Tina Parkman.
We appreciate you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank
We
really
thank our
appreciate it.
audience tuning in to us.
Yes.
We love you.
We love you. And this is Detroit Class 313.
Yeah. If you didn't catch any of the links, or if you'd like more information on our guests or hosts or the show itself, DetroitClass313.com, you can find our information there. Thank you for tuning in, and you will find us the same place, same time next week. Am I right, girls?
Yes.
So make sure you
Yes.
tune in. And you're
Good
watching,
night.
what are they watching?
Detroit
Class
313.
Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it up in the deep. Shake it, shake it. Shake it, shake it. Shake it, shake it. Shake it up in the deep. Shake it, shake it. Shake it, shake it. Shake it, shake it. Shake it, shake it. Shake it up in the deep. Shake it, shake it. Shake it, shake it. Shake it, shake it. Shake it up in the deep. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.